Oh hey, Jeremy here from Long Speed Marine. Well, the 57 Oldsmobile parts car for the wagon has finally showed up and I need to see if I can free up this motor and hey, maybe even get it running. So tag along and see how far we get. All right, so we finally got the four-door parts car that's going to be for the 57 Olds wagon. This car here has a better floor in it, and the roof obviously is better. This roof is totally solid, so I'll be able to cut pieces out of this roof and out of the floor to use for the Oldsmobile wagon. This motor here, because the wagon motor is so seized and awful inside, there's no way that that motor can be used. I mean, I imagine you could probably break it apart and, I don't know, maybe rebuild it, but why bother? There's a bunch of these motors around. So I'm going to try and see if I can unstick this motor and maybe even get it running. This motor was running not too long ago, but what I did sort of off camera before I started, I pulled the spark plugs out and went to lube it down, or like lube the cylinders up, and found a bunch of I don't know what was in there. I blew it all out. It's kind of all over the control arms, kind of this white powdery stuff. I'm hoping that it's not like the top of the pistons. I don't think so, because when it was coming out, it almost smelled like Comet or something. It's like someone tried to put a cleaner in this motor or something to try and free it up. I have no idea. Anyways, I've lubed the cylinders down and hopefully that's worked its way in. It sat overnight and hopefully we can try and free this thing up. Obviously it was sitting with no valve covers on it, so it got some water in there. There's some open ports on the head back here, which I think were just for coolant, so that's been open as well. So hopefully we can free this thing up and at least get it to pop a little bit. I have no distributor cap. Yeah, the distributor cap is gone. The wires are here somewhat, but I should be able to hopefully rob one from over there, or I may have an old GM style distributor cap. So I also got, which this headliner is from that you can see behind me, I kind of picked up a bonus car while I was there grabbing this one. There was a car sitting next to the fellow shop that I got these from. He's a Oldsmobile Fanatic 57, especially Oldsmobile Fanatic. And over the years, he's picked up a lot of cars for parts and some to obviously rebuild. He's got a lot of cars in his collection right now. But sitting next to his shop, when I went to go look at the wagon the very first time, was this car with a purple roof and pretty funky paint job on it, but stripped all apart. And I said, well, what's this car? Looks pretty solid. So let me turn the camera around and show you what it is. All right, so here is a 1957 Oldsmobile two-door hardtop Super 88. And this was a car, it was a custom that was done in the 90s. Had this kind of pinky fuchsia color top and purple on the bottom. And so he picked this car up. What happened to it is it was in one of those tarp garages. It collapsed and crushed the roof. So he got it fairly affordable, thinking maybe he would fix it up or use it for parts. And what happened was he blasted it. Noticed some Bondo in it. Sandblasted the car, and it was just too far gone for any of the stuff that he really likes to do, because he's, you know, his cars are really, really nice. So this car was too far gone for sort of the stuff that he does, but of course it's perfect for me. It's rusty and gross. The floors aren't too bad. There's a little bit in the other side. The quarter panels are basically just sheet metal put over top of the original quarter panels. And there was a bunch of shady body work that was done to it. Typical sort of custom from back in the day. And to be honest, even nowadays, a lot of customs end up like that. It has a really, really nice interior. You can see the headliner over there. Here's one of the interior panels that was in the car. It's kind of got this nice detail in it. So the interior will be coming for the car. I have to go pick that up. And so the full interior, bucket seats, console, all that stuff has all been kept in good shape and stored away. I will be getting doors and everything else for this whole car. You can see the fender here, and this one was pretty rough. All the bodywork on this car was kind of shady, but that's okay. My plan for this car is going to be, I have a 6-liter LS, and so that will be going in this car. I don't have a transmission at the moment, so I don't know what I'm going to use for it. But 6-liter LS in this, and I think I can put this car back together pretty quickly. Windshield here, I'll either get a windshield from that fellow or just take the one out of the 4-door. And front fender and all that kind of stuff he has as well. And like I said, the whole interior he's got. So I should be able to throw this car together and get it running and driving pretty quickly. And to be honest, I'll probably just leave the body the way that it is for now, and just focus on getting it running and driving and get the interior back into it and kind of just sort of show it off like that. And maybe later down the road, I will do some type of a paint job to it, but I can get you in here and show you the roof. I don't know that I will ever be able to fix this roof without putting a lot of Bondo in it, so I'd probably just leave it alone. So you can see here the roof damage. It's creased pretty good over there. There's sort of a big dent in it, and the paint sort of popped. That popped from the roof collapsing in on it. But you can see the roof is, you know, it's pretty tragic, but I don't even care. I'll drive it like this. I think it'd be interesting to throw it back together and just sort of tell the story of the car. This car went to a bunch of the shows back in around 94 to 96 days. All the big shows here in Toronto, Toronto, Ontario. All the shows, it went to all the major shows, indoor shows and stuff, did the whole car circuit up here. So you can see he sandblasted these sides. That's what he does for a living, is sandblast stuff. So he sandblasted all these sides and sprayed it with just this epoxy primer. He didn't get all the Bondo out of it, but just started to see what he was dealing with for the most part. You can see this rear tail light section here has been patched, kind of, you know, typical patch back in the day of how they would have done stuff, just sort of hammer it all together and Bondo it up. Down here, I think these corners were all just filled with Bondo. You can see even the trunk is that nice funky custom color. This panel is pretty much the same, not quite as bad as the other one. Down below, this rocker panel is a little bit rough. The floor over here is not too bad, just a small little section here in the floor for the most part. So if you've seen some of my other rusty stuff like that and all my other junk that I like, this is pretty good actually. So, you know, there's been some custom work done to this car back in the day. You can see there's sort of a bolt there holding up. I guess they lowered it too much and had to raise it back up. But anyways, the plan will be just to try and get this thing up and running. Again, 6-liter LS. I might put a pedal assembly from a G-body in there and see if I can get the brackets to do a disc brake swap on the front of this car maybe. Or we'll just leave the drum brakes and just put a dual piston hanging master cylinder in it. The original one would have been in that big giant hole down there, and it's a Hydro Boost setup, and they're quite expensive to get, and I don't have one at the moment. Okay, so like I said, this thing is it is stuck. I haven't put a bar on it at all. Soaked it down with some engine oil and transmission fluid, put a little bit of WD-40 in there as well, and just let it sit overnight. So we're just going to see now if we can free this sucker up a little bit. Oh my God, it's stuck. Oh my God. It's really stuck. Ooh. That's no good. Milkshake. Well, it's definitely got water in it. But, I'm almost wondering now if this thing had a bad head gasket. Usually you don't get that creamy milkshake on the dipstick unless it's been run like that to make it sort of foam up and get creamy. And maybe that white powdery stuff that was in there was a bunch of coolant. That's disappointing. But we're not going to give up yet. I'm going to keep try and pry away at this thing and see if I can do anything to try and get it freed up here. So I'll catch back with you in a little bit as I sort of work this thing back and forth. All right, well, I decided to get out my camera here to take a look inside. Hopefully you guys can see that. So this is inside the cylinder. And what the heck is that? Like, it's not magnetic, whatever it is. It feels a little bit metallic, but this is a magnet here that I'm pushing up against it. What is it? And it's in there. Standing straight up. Looks like a bolt, but why wouldn't it be sticking to my magnet? What the heck is... Oh, it's the valve. Oh, this motor's toast. Look at that. There's the valve. Oh, man. Huh. No wonder this thing doesn't work. There's the valve. Ah, bummer. Well, that pretty much shuts down trying to get this thing running. Obviously, I guess at some point it busted a valve. Maybe someone was trying to crank it over and the valve was stuck, and I don't know, that's really weird that it just broke the valve like that. I mean, the valve is, I can see both ends of it are up on this side. So it's weird that, anyways, I guess this motor's screwed too, so I'll have to try and find another motor somewhere for the 57 Olds, or maybe we can pull this one apart and salvage some of the stuff from the other one for this one. I don't know. We'll have to figure something out, but anyways, I guess this is a pretty short video here for this one. Couldn't free it up, obviously, and even if I did, obviously that piston would come up and smash that valve up against the head, so there's no point going any further with this one. What I'll probably do, I'm not even going to bother tearing this thing down. I'm going to go see if I can get another motor for this car, for the 57 wagon, and we'll go on from there. But what we can do in the meantime is try and get the trunk open on the 57 two-door, and see if I can get in the trunk and see what the trunk's like, because I haven't been in the trunk yet. So let's get over to that car and see if we can get the trunk. Okay, so I already know that the spare tire well is pretty much rotten on this thing. So we'll see what the rest of the trunk is like. I just need to figure out what pushes or does what in here. If I go in here like this. That. Oh, that was easy. All right. Hey, there's a drink in here. Huh. Well, this is painted up all white on the sides. There's the, so this car had neon lights underneath it. I smashed one of them when it was going up on the trailer. That's kind of funky. But you can see some of the carpet and stuff in here. Underneath was painted that pink. All right, let's get you in here. All right, so here's some of that custom carpet. Oh, some of the interior's trashed. That's too bad. Oh, that would have been the speaker panel for up top. Bummer. Oh, this is totally shot. That's too bad. This would have been the panel, I guess, that sat up on the back here. Oh man, I don't know. That's too bad. Shoot. I don't know where that carpet would have gone. Hopefully this carpet, if I lay it out, it might straighten up a little bit. And we can figure out where these carpet pieces went, because I'd like to put this thing back together as best I can. Obviously there's been some critters living in here. To be expected. Let's let's see, I guess some other type of panel. All right, so this trunk floor is actually in really good shape. So I think it's just this spare tire well. Yeah, there's just one little soft spot at the back of this spare tire well. But the rest of this is really good. That's awesome. So obviously one last thing that I have to fix. You can see all the sand in here from him sandblasting this car. So we'll get all this vacuumed out and cleaned up at a later date. Oh yeah, look at all this sand got all wet. Look at all this sand from sandblasting it. Anyways, that's good that the trunk is solid. I thought it was going to be, other than that little spare tire well over there. So we will clean all this stuff up and, I don't know, do something with back here. Probably just repaint it again. Looks like, I guess, a bunch of this carpet was all glued on this interior because there's all this glue everywhere. So I don't know if I'll bother doing that. Like all this carpet must have been glued in this rear section, but I don't care. I'll just leave it the way that it is. I don't need to put the carpet back down. So anyways, we're in the trunk. That's good news. At least one good piece of news, that the trunk isn't too rusty and it's nice and solid. Too bad about that upper panel piece there, but that's okay. Hopefully that'll be the worst of it. I think the rest of the interior was stored safely away in his shop. So just need to get obviously a new trunk seal, but that's all minor stuff that we can do later. Okay, well that's going to do it for this one here. Some good news, the trunk floor in this thing is great. Some bad news, that motor is crappy, but that's okay. I'm going to reach out, see if I can get another motor for this wagon. I think that he has a motor that runs for me, so we're going to try and go that route. What I'm going to do next is probably just pull that motor and transmission out of that car. I need to get the steering box and column out of that car for this 57. It has a hydro boost in it as well that might be good, so I'll probably pull that and maybe use that in this car also. If not, I'll just go and try to get that pedal setup that I've got for a G-body and the master cylinder that bolts up on the firewall. But hey, thanks very much for tagging along with this and all my other builds. Make sure you hit that subscribe, smash the like, and we'll see you on the next one. What am I going to have for lunch?